Rev up your engines!
Charlie says, Scotty, why are so many car factories shutting down around the world? It's called capitalism because they all want you to make the cars in the cheapest place they can produce them so they can make the most profit. It's only a matter of time that they're going to be going to lower places to make their cars. That's just the way it goes. One country costs more than other or has higher taxes, they'll move to the ones that have lower taxes, just like Pfizer, those clowns that make Viagra, you know. They moved to Ireland. Irish gave them all kinds of deals, don't have to pay taxes for a long time. That's why they moved to Ireland. It's just finance. That's why they do it. They don't care about their workers. Not they ever really did, but even less than before now. Fonovic says, Scotty, what are your thoughts on the 1990 BMW 5 Series? Back in those days, they made pretty good vehicles. I used to have a lot of customers have those things back in the 90s. They were an in-car here in Houston, Texas. Oil people, a lot of guys I knew in the oil business, they drove those things around. They handled well. They rode nice. They weren't super fast, but they were fast enough to get you where you were going. They're nothing like the modern ones that are over-engineered pieces of junk that fall apart when they age with plastic, everything on them. They were much more solid built cars. I had customers with 5 Series cars that had 250,000 miles. They still were running pretty good with not all that much money spent on them, but you'll never get that out of a modern day BMW. Streetsnar says, hello Scotty, what can be done for a stiff, hard ride? Your shock absorbing system isn't working correctly. Of course, it depends on what kind of car you have. Some cars are made for speed and handling, and they have a stiff ride. That's how they're designed. In that case, don't buy that car. Or if you have one, you want a better ride, find which struts and shock absorber system give the smoothest ride. They might not handle quite as well, but they'll give a smoother ride. You have to figure that out yourself. If your car always ran fine, and all of a sudden it's got a stiff, hard ride, odds are that your struts have worn out, especially if it's tilted and sitting. That means the springs themselves are worn. You're going to have to replace the springs and the struts. It all depends on when it came up, because a lot of cars are just made stiff. Civic Type R, it's deliberately stiff because it's for a little racy car. You don't want to make it less stiff because that's what it's for. You don't buy a car like that if you don't like it. Lee Schaefer says, do you fix big trucks too? To an extent. If they're too big, they won't fit in my driveway, so I won't work on them. Years ago, some guy brought me a giant RV. I put a water pump on it. It was like working on a submarine. I had to crawl in under the cab upside down, reaching. It took so long, I had to park it overnight. And then the police put a ticket on it because they said you can't park a big vehicle like that on the street. So I really don't work on any big giant trucks at all anymore. But I mean, the biggest thing I work on is like a Ford 350 or something like that. It's about as big as I go. The bigger they get, you need heavier duty equipment and you need a big garage with a lift to work on them, which I don't have. Next question is Dirk Diggler. Scotty, is it a bad idea to flush a cooling system or should you just drain and refill? No, flushing is perfectly fine. But the only problem is to flush out the engine block, you either have to have a machine like I have as a professional mechanic, which uses warm water. Then the warm water opens the thermostat up and flushes the system. If you want to flush it yourself at home, you can do it, but you're going to have to take the thermostat out. In some cars, that's a pain in the butt. Thermostat out, and then put the thermostat back in and refill it. That's the only thing. Flushing itself doesn't hurt anything, but it won't flush it unless you're either using hot water or remove the thermostat, because if you use cold water, thermostat will slam shut, and then you won't flush it out anymore. Chaotic Twin says, Scotty, what's a great, reliable motorcycle for beginners? I'm into cruisers and sport touring types. How many miles do bikes last compared to cars? Thanks. Motorcycles used to last a lot shorter than cars, but not anymore. If you buy Japanese motorcycles, they can last well over 100,000 miles, pretty much trouble-free. You're into cruiser and sport types, you can't beat basically any of the Japanese. Honda makes great bikes. Yamaha makes great bikes. I drive a Triumph Thruxton myself. Now, they used to be English bikes, but this thing was made in Thailand. And the Thais actually make excellent bikes. It's never broken. Thing starts every time with an electric starter, but it's made in Thailand. It's not made by the English anymore. Basically, you know, you can pick and choose any of the Japanese bikes. Take my advice, buy a used one. They have no resale value. Just buy a used one. Don't waste your time. Like the new Thruxton that I got, if I wanted to buy a brand new one, thing would have cost me like $12,000. I paid $5,000 for one that had like 3,000 miles on it. Buy a used one. Don't waste your money on a new one. Chad Denton says, Scotty, do you listen to the radio while working? Favorite music? No, as a matter of fact, I don't. When I'm working, I concentrate entirely on what I'm doing so that I use all my brain power to figure out what's wrong with the car so I can fix it best and fastest. Music is for fun and later. It's not something you listen to all the time. Then it becomes boring. I see it as things you do every once in a while. If you listen to stuff all the time, it becomes boring, like background music. And when you're working, you should be concentrating entirely on what you're doing. Same thing with driving. I drive seriously in what? In my motorcycle. I don't listen to music when I'm driving a motorcycle. I listen to the motorcycle music coming out the pipes. You got to be serious when you're driving. Same thing when you're fixing cars. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.